What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unicorn Princess GOTM. This time we're not coming at you live. We are coming at you through a video because this is week. And for the month of June, as you all know, we have been playing Planet Crafter, as you can see from the screen. Uh, and I am once again joined by my brother Lex. Say hello, brother.
Hello, brother.
Hello, brother. We have been playing Planet Crafter. As you can see, we have about 55 hours and we have unlocked all the achievements. Yay! Which I have to say is not a
Not
bad.
we, not we, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I have because I'm a
Or you might,
selfish.
you might consider yourself royalty, like, oh yes,
Yes, we, the
we,
royal.
the glorious people, the people
Yes,
with a purpose,
the royal
not
we.
porpoise.
Um, I was pleasantly and positively surprised that my brother decided to join me, as he is not your average uh, picnic basket hunting bear. He is not really a survival player.
I'm barely a survivor as it is in human life, so.
Which can be argued. But what do you normally play when you play video games?
My go-to thing, since I am part of the old brigade, the old school brigade, being
Tetris,
cre
Pong.
created during the Tetris era, growing up on the old NES, classic Mario and Duck Hunt kind of things. So, I mean,
Ickary Warriors.
it's essentially, yeah, like the
Mm.
old school, old school. I started out, well, my first online gaming, like the way I got introduced to online gaming essentially was like back on the PS2 on SOCOM. That's where I met people and I
That is where,
planted
yeah.
my roots. So like online shooters mostly is what I tend to do.
So
However,
you,
never Warzone, never Fortnite. No,
but
no,
so you're
no.
saying that the first time you realized there was other people in the world was on
I wanted to shoot them.
the PlayStation 2 and you decided to shoot them.
Well, I knew there were other people in the world. I mean, I obviously played a little bit like on a PC, but back in those days, our type of internet was not the type of internet that we have now. No, we were on the old 56K dial-up modem. Yeah, the beautiful sound, and you just prayed and hoped that no one else in the house had to make a phone call while you were trying to play. So
Mm.
obviously, PC gaming was not that was not my introduction. I knew of PC gaming. I'd participated in like old school classic like LAN parties, playing like old Counter Strike, was it 1.6, that kind of thing.
Mm.
But my way in, since I always preferred console over PC generally, because me and PC don't really get along that well. Console is more my type of jam, just plug and play, or it used to be anyways. Now it's
I have an image in my mind that you are the type of person that when the prompt on screen comes up, press the any key, then
Ah,
you
yes,
go
I'm still looking for
looking.
that, and I'm looking for the any key still. I cannot find it. I
Yep.
don't. I'm like I don't. Maybe I should buy like a foreign keyboard or something, but
Mm.
my keyboards never had the any key, so go figure. But
Oh.
like I said, mostly it's shooter type games. I mean, I can play most type of games. Like I've no like the only games I don't like to play are sports games, like no FIFA, NFL.
Mm.
Um, what I could extend to, and this is at a bare minimum, is like okay, couch co-op on a NHL, and you just remove all the rules, and it's just basically a slugfest.
Yep.
But that's it. NHL as a slugfest, not following the rules with icing and all that shit. I don't care
Mm.
for that. Second to the bottom is racing games. I'm not a big racing fan, and it's the same thing there. If it's a couch co-op kind of thing, like you're messing around with your friends, like okay, let's play Mario Kart or the equivalent essentially. But other than that, I play most type of games. I
Mm.
prefer shooters, RTS, like old Command and Conquer, old Age of Empires, or old school
You
classics, Broken Sword 1 and 2.
You
the old
used to
Dungeon Keeper
be,
2.
yeah, you used to be a real big stealth player.
Hitman, the Hitman series and the Tenshu series.
Mm.
Those were those are always been like. I mean, I own the Hitman collection, for example, both on PC and console. Um, However, I don't own the three latest Hitmans. I don't own on a PC, obviously because my PC is not good enough to play them. But otherwise, I own all the old original Hitmans. Sadly, I do not have access to the old Tenshus, but I know someone that does. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Cough, cough. Um, so they're not gone. They're not gone. But if I could have a dream game that they would make a re-release, remake, remastered on, it would be Tenchu Z, or as it was locally known in Japan, I believe Tenchu Zenran. I would
Mm.
love to see that again. That was cool. I like that.
Mm.
Otherwise, like yeah, stealth games. I enjoy sort of role playing it, I suppose. I've always got complaints from friends sitting there like, why are you walking? Why are you sitting in that corner waiting for 30 minutes? Like, I just want to know the pattern of this guard here.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I know his name, what he had for breakfast. Did he argue with his missus this morning?
What
What
is
type of
his
shoelaces
cousin's
does he use?
old neighbor's grandchild's former classmate's Mrs.
Yeah,
Mailman's name?
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Otherwise, Sniper Elite. I enjoyed the Sniper Elite series.
Huh.
I enjoyed them a lot. But
Will you be picking up the remaster of Metal Gear Solid?
yes, incidentally, I never got on Metal Gear 1 and 2 that they made. Metal Gear, well, was Sons of Patriots, and
Mm.
I never got onto those. So I didn't really like. That was not my giant. Incidentally, it was the same thing with Resident Evil,
Hmm.
the original Resident Evil 1 and 2. I never like I've dabbled a bit on Resident Evil 1, never really touched. I mean, I think I loaded up Resident Evil 2, old school Resident Evil 2, but otherwise never played it. I got onto Resident Evil back at Nemesis, old
Yeah,
school Nemesis. That's when I got it. And
that's
it's the same
the
with Metal Gear
yeah.
uh, Snake Eater. That's when I got onto it
So
too.
basically, you find big games that has a trilogy, and you jump in into the last part. But
Yeah, it's like skipping to the end of the book.
right, right, right. I tried that when I last read the phone book, but it didn't say who did it.
God, yeah, damn it.
That's the worst
And not in the
murder.
latest edition either.
Yeah, no, it's the worst mystery book I've ever read.
Yeah. I wish I could find out who the author is. I mean,
Mm.
they keep getting published as well. That's just
Yep.
like where, why?
Mm. And now, since I started out right next to you, sitting on a hardwood floor for 14 hours straight, playing that old Nintendo.
Hmm.
The old Nintendo injuries that you,
Yeah, the Nintendo Thumb.
yeah, and all the
And they were
little,
great weapons. They were great weapons. One of the best weapons in the world is an old NES controller,
or a
or an old
Nokia,
or
or
a
the old,
PlayStation controller,
yeah,
or
or
the
the
Nokia
old,
3330, 3310s.
yep,
So perfect. They were perfect weapons.
yep.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that medieval flails were not as good as like the old Nintendo
Hmm.
NES controller.
You know what I would like to do? I would like to become a rage therapy specialist, and in order to cure people, I will just put them, stick them down on a hardwood floor with
Mm.
barely nothing to eat, barely nothing to drink, in front of like an old Mario or something with the old,
Mm.
no, that old track and field game on Nintendo.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mario Mark. Yeah, yeah.
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 And then give them, and because when their rage hit, they can smash the controller in the floor, and then you can just say, very good, that was a good outlet for your rage. Now pick up the
Yeah.
controller and
Yeah.
continue to play.
Yeah. But the question is, for safety reasons, obviously you cannot keep a modern TV screen like a flat screen.
No.
So you need the old, big, thick
Oh yeah.
monster TVs
Yep.
that, because those could also take a goddamn beating.
Hmm.
So yeah, but yeah, yeah, no. So I'm willing to want to add to that therapy session that they need someone to sit in the background, like I did with you, like the older brother, sitting and judging them.
Oh yeah.
That is very important, I believe. a key. It's a valuable life lesson to learn.
It
Like
is.
people might sit in the background and judge you, and you feel that they're judging eyes upon you and their snarky remarks. So
I
if
wouldn't.
you could,
I
like,
would never
really,
do. Yeah, I
that's what
would.
you're doing.
I would
Uh,
never do that.
you can't make that jump. Come on,
Why
you're not.
didn't you? Why didn't
Oh,
you pick up that secret mushroom there?
oh God, why did I let you play? Get out of here. I mean, if you could take that,
Yep.
if you could, you can. Oh, the society we live in today would not. It would be vastly different.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I started out right next to you with the Nintendo, being a bit of an all-eater. Um, we played everything that we could get our hands on, and
Yeah,
then
Turtles was a good memory.
oh yeah,
Old school Turtles.
and I played that recently on the PC as well, and not as good as I remembered it, but oh well.
What was? Did you get the one,
S-
the Shredder's Revenge, or
Yep.
did you actually get the old school? Because there's a
No.
collection kind of thing that they got on. I think
Mm,
seen it on the box store. They have like a collections that actually got all the old school. Even though you remember the absolute first one when if you were up on street level when you were in the Turtles mobile, you saw it from like up like top view like old
oh no,
GTA.
no, I
And when
didn't.
you were inside, you were like seeing a side scroller, kind of like old Batman. You remember old Batman on the NES?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at the to get the collector's edition because it even contains games, Turtles games that were only released in Japan.
Mm.
So it's a collecting, like it got all the old school Turtles games. I've been eyeing that for a while, so I might pick that up to just
I
as a nostalgia.
might have those on either one of my retro stations
Possibly,
because
most likely.
I mean those machines has like 50,000 games on it from all countries, all formats, all
Yeah,
platforms. So
and
I'm pretty.
that's one thing I must that I must keep reminding myself whenever we get together. Well, I'm visiting at yours to keep myself from slowly strangling you is the fact that you got Tenshu,
Mhm.
all the Tenshus, and you also have all the old SOCOMs, like
Yep.
the true SOCOMs, not that crappy shit they made for the PS3 and that abomination they made on the PS4. Not SOCOM Constipation, as I like to call it. I believe it was called Confrontation on the PS3. That was garbage. But
Mm.
the goddamn thing they made on the PS4, I think it whatever place, or like SOCOM 4, anyways. That was.
Yep. It
I'm
was
so glad I never touched that.
it was bad.
Yeah, I'm glad I never even like I stopped myself. It was like watching your the house you grew up in with your family burning down, essentially.
Oh yeah. I moved then onwards and upwards, I would like to say, in my
Yeah,
gaming history. I moved
yeah,
on
because
to.
you were never limited. You were more like like you were more open PC console.
Yep.
Me, I just limited myself to consoles essentially.
Yep. And over the years, I have grown fond of survival games and, the classic isometric RPGs like Diablo and all that. It's unfortunate that Blizzard has since become corrupt and a horrible company that destroyed the Diablo series for me, which is my personal opinion. Um,
I'm not disagreeing.
but I have landed in now my top two picks is survival games and simulation games. Not necessarily simulation as in racers or flight simulators, but simulation games in like electrician simulator, PC building simulator, power wash simulator, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Uh, Therapeutic games, if you like.
yeah, and they're logical games as well, considering the fact that back in our days you could be an apprentice.
Mm.
If you wanted to learn a job, you became an apprentice. That has since been removed.
Mm-hmm.
So those games, the highest praise I give those those kind of sim games is that's a way for people to get like a taste of okay, so this is what the general idea of the business is like.
Yeah. And besides that, I dabble in VR, uh, taking on most genres, except for competitive shooters and those cheap budget jump scare up in your face stuff kind of horror games. I like horror and suspense, but I don't like that when they throw something at your face and make a loud noise and you're supposed to be scared. That is just a cheap shot.
Yeah.
So I don't enjoy that. But then again, I have a flawless tactic. They always build up to it, and you know there's something coming, jumping at your face, so you just close your eyes and nothing jumps at your face.
Yeah, it's like watching like if you're watching a horror movie, like a really scary horror movie, just
Mm.
watch it on mute.
Yep,
Problem solved.
exactly. But now I'm slowly but surely introducing you to my world of survival, and we have been playing Planet Crafter.
Yeah, I suppose I should be grateful for the fact that you're actually, as a courtesy to me, uh, you're not playing it on hardcore mode.
Well, I mean, I am the casual gamer. I'm not really your hardcore gamer like Onikage. He likes to punish himself. Uh, but
Yeah, yeah, but you're a bit of a sadist. You're more of a sadist than I am when it comes to that genre, anyways. You're more willing to.
well,
To be fair, it would be the equivalent. Like I can jump into competitive shooters, like Battlefield, preferably, every now and then. Like I can sort of tolerate it the way that you don't tolerate competitive shooters. That's where our shoes are on our other feet, I suppose. You can tolerate more hardcore survival games where I could not, and I can tolerate more shooter games than you cannot, so to
yeah.
speak.
But the topic for today is the review of Planet Crafter.
Yeah,
And I decided to invite you to it because you played along with me for about 95% of the game. I did some stuff
I
without
did a
you.
thing,
You,
and I did a thing.
yep, you did a thing. And, well, the results. I'm going to let you start off and I'll just fill in the blanks, really. You as a complete, I'm currently showing, I've loaded into our game world just standing on top of that random butterfly dome you built floating in midair.
Yeah,
Just looking,
because f you.
yeah, because I mean, game physics
You,
doesn't
yeah,
come,
because you decided to build those tree bark growing places so out of place, and then just plump random heat pressure thingies
yeah,
and
and tree
trees, like everything
spreaders.
just growing up everywhere. So that I couldn't fit the actual butterfly dome anywhere. So I was like, well, screw you then. I'm just gonna attach it to the goddamn rocket pump.
Yeah, I mean, because reasons.
Yeah,
So I'm just standing on top of that, looking out over the big forest that I grew,
yeah.
and so what is what was your first initial thoughts going into the game as like we jokingly said, like a pro noob?
Yeah, my probe vision, my probe point. Well, it like it was be established. It reminded me a lot of Subnautica. I have not played a lot of Subnautica on my own, but I have seen like other friends play it. I had one friend uh, who was obsessed with it, and he played it a lot. And back when they were promising Subnautica 2 to be co-op thingies, he kept nagging me like, we're playing this co-op, we're playing this co-op. Thankfully for me, they didn't do co-op, so I managed to dodge that bullet, I suppose. But like you said, it reminded me a lot of Subnautica in that way, with with the way you build, and but um, that it was an interesting concept, more open, obviously, because you weren't limited to like Subnautica, just sea life, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, it was a interesting planet. It was nice, very refreshing to see how the planet, like how you terraformed it, and actually see the results of it.
Mm.
That was very like, yeah, very cool to see. Like, okay, well, this is just red desert, like basically your typical, if like imagine a game on like the PS1 or maybe the Nintendo 64, like where they had all those like drab, dull colors.
Yeah, like Red Faction or
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, basically, and that was all you had essentially. So that was a very refreshing thing to see how life spread, and the greeneries. You got lakes forming, like, and it was organic.
mm.
No pun intended. It was organic to see it happen as well. It wasn't like, like glitched in, so to speak. Like it was very symmetrical.
Yeah,
So that,
because
that was refreshing.
I mean the general core game loop of survival games can easily become tedious. Like, okay, you start here, you need a place to sleep, and then you need to go out and you need this item or this tool or this workbench, and to do that you need these items. So go out, get them. You can find one item over in that direction, and
Yeah.
then you go mine for that, and then you have to run back, drop off all your stuff, and go out and collect the next item, and then you put them all together, and there you go. And now you can make more stuff, so you need to head on out into the wild
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, you need
So
15 puzzle pieces to make item one,
yeah,
and that will get you the opportunity to search for item two, which needs 20 puzzle pieces.
yeah. So I mean, the general gameplay loop as the core element of survival is, basically you need this, go and get it, come back, do what you have to do. Now you need more stuff, go out, get it, do what you have to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
and on the hamster wheel goes.
Yeah.
What I did like
This-
about this is the aspect, like you mentioned, you were in a world that evolved around you with your progress as you moved on.
mhm.
Which most of the survival games that I play, the game world is fixed. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah,
oh,
like
it's
Ark or Conan. Okay, I need this thing. I need to go to the desert area or
yeah,
to the wood area or the mountain, like the mining area. Here, you like, obviously you had certain mining areas in this game, but in this game things could pop up. Like,
yeah,
okay, now we needed a lake. Well, we had a lake form around our starter base.
yep,
So like that was
yep.
very like
And
nice to see.
the interesting part is we started out with a red barren planet, and then stuff started to happen, and still you didn't quite terraform the entire planet, because the planet evolved and things started to grow and sprout and whatnot, but you still had, what I liked was that you still had to put down the grass spreaders, you still had to put down the tree spreaders, and that had an effect on its own. But
Hmm.
the entire game world, it evolved and it grew, it changed, but it still kept those certain biome areas. Like, you have a desert area, you have a grassland, you have a
Yeah, yeah,
meteor field.
yeah.
So you still had the biomes, even though in the individual biomes started to,
Become more accessible, so to speak, like
yeah,
more.
and
Yeah,
they developed over time with your
yeah,
progress. And you
yeah.
also,
Like when you had the ice caves, for example, like they
yeah,
were literally ice caves at the beginning, but as you grew heat and pressure on the planet, those ice caves melted away, gave you
yeah,
access to other ways, like shortcuts, other deeper parts of mines,
new
like so.
materials.
Yeah,
And speaking of those caves, I know that for a lot of survival games, let's take Icarus, let's take, well, Planet Crafter, of course, Subnautica, they all implement a form of cave system mechanic
yeah,
of
but that's the
sorts.
classic dungeon dweller
Yeah, the
system.
forest,
Like,
you run
yeah,
into caves.
yeah.
And
But that's because of their honoring, like the legacy of what is built upon is the classical dungeon crawler types
yeah,
of games. So that
uh,
you sort of need that. It wouldn't be a survival game if you did not have that, essentially.
yeah.
In my humble opinion, anyways.
But to me, playing a lot of survival games and dungeon crawlers, there is the preferred way to do a cave system, and then there's the common way, and then there's the less preferred, and then there's
It's the convoluted way,
yeah, and
the
then there's
complicated
the
way.
Bethesda way.
Yeah.
And I struggled. I enjoyed and struggled with the cave system mechanics in Planet Crafter, because,
Yes.
like you mentioned, having the caves being blocked off by huge chunks of ice, and then knowing that when you move up to the ice block, it says this starts to melt at, and it gives you a number, like a heat measurement,
Yeah.
giving you something to strive for, keeping you curious, like what is behind this huge block of ice,
Yeah.
making you want to progress, need to progress. And that I liked, but then I feel the cave system, they went a little bit overboard.
yeah, they were a bit overcomplicated. They went on a lot of tangents essentially
Yeah,
that
it's
were
like
unnecessary. Like, well, okay, too many blind corners. Me, like us being old school gamers, if we play a side scroller, we know, okay, if the game starts us and tell us, okay, go from left to right, well, we always go left first because there could be some hidden secret that
oh
way.
yeah.
This game was just like, well, this is just, I've been walking for several minutes in this absolute dead end that didn't even contain anything. There was 0 point to it.
Mm. And I mean, I sure
Like
I
the ships were nice, but they were also very overcomplicated at certain points. Like,
yeah.
wait, have I walked through this hallway already? Like, yeah, sure, you had like your method. Okay, you keep your left hand on the wall, or you had the flares, but many times it was still like, wait a minute, hey, hang on, where am I going? Which way is up and out? Essentially, like,
Yeah. I mean, I like a complicated cave,
yeah,
but to have a complicated cave become more complicated and then going into the next overly complicated cave, going into the next cave, and then comes out like you enter the cave in grid. Let's picture a map grid. You enter the cave in grid 2 and you run around in this cave back and forth, up and down, blah blah blah, and then the exit is through grid 3. So you haven't really moved much,
no.
but you have to go into a cave to come deeper and deeper and into another cave, and then you basically come out at the same spot. Or it's
Yeah, and
just
you can't,
like,
and also you can't really build anything in those caves, anyways. Like
no,
you start on the way, you need to pack your backpack with your supplies, like the water and food kind of thing,
mm,
and then you're getting down there, you start finding things, various like, oh shit, this is aluminium, or this is some rare the quasar quartz or whatever the hell, and slowly you start filling up your backpack, and you're like, oh shit, I could really use a habitat here. At most places you couldn't build anything, so you just not even like you might be at best halfway through the cave, and you're like, okay, shit, I have to turn back and
yep,
unload this stuff, and then you've forgotten where you were anyways.
yeah,
And then when you remember to backtrack back to that halfway mark you were initially, you've gone back up, spent the time it takes to travel back, unload, get back to the halfway mark, and you think, okay, I wonder what's going to happen next. You keep going, and there's the rest of the half, and it contains nothing vital or interesting anyways.
yep. And speaking of having issues finding your way, I think that is a good segue to the map system.
Hmm.
Maps are a crucial part of any survival game because most survival games is, oh, here you are, you're on a mysterious place, you are lost, find
Yeah.
your way. And then
It's
eventually,
essential. It's an essential mechanic in all games, like shooter games also is. But in that type of survival games, it's essential.
yeah, I mean, it becomes a vital part knowing where am I, where do I need to go,
Yeah,
and yeah, having that ability to track your progress on the map. I mean,
yeah,
I enjoyed the part where you had to gradually unlock the map. You're not presented with the map.
yeah. You have to send up the rockets with
Yeah,
like actual GPS rockets so you can get a view.
yeah, and then you had to have like that mapping chip and the compass
Hmm.
chip and
Yep,
all that.
yep, yeah.
I like that because most other games like Bethesda games, they like, oh, here's
Here's the map.
yeah,
Congratulations.
here's the map. You can go wherever you want. Here's the compass on your HUD, and we will annoy you with a big blinking arrow. This is where you need to go.
Yeah,
And
and
what I liked
go
about what
go
I
silhouette of a town or whatever.
yeah, what I liked about this, but also did not, I mean, I liked it more than I did not like it, was that you had to work to get the map, but then once you got the map, you still had no way of knowing where am I on the map.
No, you couldn't
You
see yourself. The only way you could see yourself is if you put down a beacon.
yeah,
But like that was okay, yeah, beacon, sure. But if there was a way on the map to see, because you could like when you were in the world, you got your grid coordinates,
hmm,
like the coordinates at the down left corner, but you could not see those on the map.
exactly. And you couldn't ping anywhere. I mean,
No,
you could place down the beacons, but
yeah, that's it. That
uh,
was the only thing. The beacons. That was
yeah,
it. That was the only thing you could set down to sort of mark anything on the map. And the way we had our big, obviously we could have probably been a little bit more professional, having sort of a color coded.
oh yeah,
But other, I thought our map started to get quite cluttered with those
hmm,
beacons. So if you could just put down like a waypoint thing, not
Or
necessarily like the Bethesda waypoint thing, but like one form of like a temporary beacon, a temporary ping, or like, or if
yeah,
at least you see a grid reference.
I mean, I played Abiotic Factor a month ago or something, and playing co-op in Abiotic Factor, then you are automatically equipped with a pager. And if you activate the pager, that starts blinking on the other player's screen. Like it has a similar function as the beacons, but when let's say you and I play Abiotic Factor, I have lost track of you, and you activate your pager, then a symbol blinks briefly on my screen so I can look in what general direction did you go.
Yeah,
But then that disappeared as to not clutter your
yeah, yeah,
your
yeah,
game screen.
yeah. Because
Uh,
like in Planetcraft, there was quite a few occasions where you went somewhere and you tried to describe the way to me, and I was literally like, okay, wait, hang on, what?
mm,
Where am I going? So,
so I mean, I enjoyed the way you get the map,
hmm,
but I didn't quite enjoy using the map because after a while the map felt basically useless.
yeah,
I mean, it was helpful during the Red Baron state where
yep,
and I mean, getting the compass was enough, really, because that way you could get your general direction. Like,
yeah,
okay, I'm starting out at home base, I'm heading north.
yep,
But then if you opened up the map, it was like, well, all right, you're heading north. There's nothing.
yeah. But where am which like left or right?
Yeah,
Like, well, what is it? Latitude, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
Which latitude am I on heading north?
Mm,
That you could not figure it out.
no. And I mean, sure, it could be argued that we are stupid newbie players that didn't figure out the
That's
coordinates.
obvious.
Yeah,
That's obvious.
the coordinate systems. Um, and I mean, it could be argued that we are just horrible players because,
Oh yeah,
um, I mean,
yeah.
just
But we're old. We're old.
yeah, I mean, just take the rocket system for example. Uh, I, in my infinite wisdom, thought that okay, you build a rocket to gain a heat bonus, but it didn't say anywhere.
Keep launching rockets.
Yeah, and it didn't say that this boost will be permanent. I mean, sure, I mean, if it would have been a heat boosting satellite, I would have, with my logic sense, because I have a logic sense.
Yeah. Okay. You're launching a satellite. Okay,
Yeah,
that's gonna spin around for a while.
satellites go in orbit, rockets you use to escape orbit.
Yeah.
And so the rocket system, I feel we were quite,
It took a while
yeah,
before we,
it took a
yeah.
while to figure out.
Thanks to Onikage, we had like if we hadn't had Onikage as a reference, and because he launched, he obviously did the research, we didn't, so that's on us that
Oh
we didn't
yeah,
really do the research by all means. But our part is to give the amateurs perspective.
yeah.
He's the professional, so
I mean, the rockets are a super useful tactic, and you
oh
should
yeah,
get into it as soon as possible.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Although, I mean, I having launched so many rockets, I launched 15 of each rocket because I have OCD that way. Uh,
OCDC.
yeah, and I mean, you don't have to launch 15 or more rockets of any certain kind because, I mean, you could launch 10 rockets and of one kind and be done with it.
Hmm.
Because after a while, when you reach a certain point, the rocket boosts, they don't
They become
matter.
null. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
oxygen and stuff like that. Yeah,
I
because
mean,
in theory, you're supposed to spread out anyways, build habitats at other places,
yeah,
and put up tree growers, grass growers
yeah.
at other places essentially.
We decided to do a more this is permanent home. Let's go with it.
Yeah,
And
basically like a trebuchet funeral, like where you launch me and I land, that's where I'll be.
yeah, so I mean, we probably played this game wrong
Oh yeah,
in many ways.
yeah, but
Especially looking out now, standing on top of the butterfly dome with all the tree spreaders and whatnot. I automatically went into like this is my home, this is where I'll be,
yeah,
and I'm going to keep everything concentrated here.
Yeah, and I know that from my end, running on a more low-end PC compared to yours, experienced a lot of stutter. Whenever I got back to home base,
Mm,
I experienced a lot of stutter because of all the clutter that was in that just one spot.
yeah. And I mean, I experienced and still do. I run well. I mean, most often I can run 120, 180, 240 FPS easily.
Yeah, I was averaging at between like what, 5 and 10,
12
maybe
somewhere. Yeah.
15. Like yeah, between
But
5 and 15 at most.
me just standing here in home base looking out at all the things that's moving, all the assets that has been generated, even I suffer frame drops. And so, I mean, if I could do something differently, I would spread this out.
Yep.
Also, because when those meteors started bombarding, I
Hmm.
felt that the meteors, I mean, sure, they struck down on a wide surface, but they were mostly focused on where the general area where the player is. This is my perception of it.
Yeah, hence why they have that achievement,
Yeah,
like getting hit by a meteor achievement. So yeah, that makes sense.
and with me putting down all this forestry, having a meteor strike down, it became a hassle trying to scavenge the materials that came from the meteors.
Yeah,
So if I could do something differently, I would launch,
dissect,
yeah,
dissect the whole base
launch
essentially.
rockets way sooner and keep the home base area. If I decided to go for a home base, I would keep it clutter free.
Yeah, and you put processing like build habitats, and then you have like okay, this is the processing habitat. You put that more close to a mine or like
Mm,
lava fields, and if you got like a biodome kind of habitat, you put that closer to where like the water and nature is. That that would be one way, I suppose.
yep. And what did you feel about the hunger and the thirst?
Well, um,
Because hunger and thirst, O2, fatigue, stuff like that, those survival systems that are
yeah,
put
that
in place.
I don't like anyways.
Yeah, it's a constant maintenance and upkeep.
Yeah, like I said in one of our streams, like for my uh, take on survival games, essentially, where if you put on more like a hardcore thing, like okay, it's what 75% uh, trying to scavenge around for like okay, going out on a run because I mean, like I said, playing this type of game makes no like on your own makes no sense to me. You need a group that you can allocate. Okay, you like when me, you and Onikage, like okay, Onikage goes out and gathers this. Like
Hmm.
the ore materials. Okay, I go out and I gather the organic material, and you stick around and you build whatever this is thing you're doing. If I was playing it on my own, it would be 75% trying to gather whatever materials I needed, and another what 15, 20% just trying to okay shit I need to eat. Oh shit I need to drink. Oh shit I need to shit essentially, and it would be just 5%, a mere measly 5%, if not even less, of actually playing the game.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
like thankfully you dropped it, you dumped it down for me, so we only had essentially like we keep need to drink and eat, but if we didn't drink or eat, it just respawned us essentially.
yeah,
So that was a plus. But I did think he huffed and puffed a little, like his air consumption and like his needs, your character's needs
mm,
initially were like a bit over the top. Like okay, what kind of metabolism does our character have essentially?
yeah.
They were a little, I mean, a little bit high. I don't know if that's a game setting that one could tweak or not, but
They
my
can.
my initial thought was like he goes through his oxygen, his food, and his hydric, like it goes through those very
Yeah,
quick.
I did make some tweaks because I left most of it like 99% on default
Hmm.
with normal game difficulty. And the only thing that I tweaked was upon death, we kept all our items.
Yeah, yeah,
That is basically the only thing I tweaked because in the default settings, when you die, you lose a bit of your inventory and then you respawn.
Yeah.
and then you have to run back out, find your box, pick it up, and run back home again.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that uh, double, if not even like in my case, my personal case, it would just quadruple my time.
yeah. And if you then move up in the difficulties, the food and hydration and O2, they drain faster.
Even faster than it did.
Yeah, even faster.
Like, okay, what is like, okay, with the O2, for example, even if you had the big oxygen tank, what it my initial mental image is essentially, you know, those little uh, respirator thingies that like have you seen in like what James Bond or something,
Hmm.
like with just little two like you know those little CO2 tubes you use for like a air pistol,
Paintball and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like those, like essentially you got those little tubes on a little mouthpiece.
Yep.
That's what it like my initial mental image when you're describing.
Yep. It's basically
You
you
got four
have,
breaths and that's it.
yeah. And I mean, I thought that the water consumption drained a little quickly. The food consumption was meh.
Yeah,
And at the beginning, the O2 at the very early Red Baron planet stage, the O2, of course, with the small oxygen tank and everything, you pop those O2 canisters that you craft from two cobalts. You pop those like Skittles.
yeah. Because I mean, you couldn't even barely take two steps out of the
Yeah,
habitat before you try to
I mean,
go.
sure, I get it from the perspective that the game developers want to keep you on your toes,
Yeah.
moving
By all
fast,
means, by all
and
means.
prioritizing. Like,
Yeah,
sure, I get it. Um, it does put that element of, oh shit, I need to plan my routes,
yeah,
which is to me one of the essentials feelings that you should have in a survival game.
yeah,
The problem I had though is when you start unlocking the bigger O2 tanks, and then you unlock the air filter, and then all of a sudden you reach a certain point where all of a sudden you have reached all these things come really close to each other. You get the biggest O2 tank, you get the air filter, and then all of a sudden you have
yeah.
a breathable atmosphere.
Yeah, like all those things that you basically went out scavenging and searched for and gnawed your ass off trying to get, then they become null and void
Yeah.
when you have breathable oxygen. Okay, yeah, sure, you needed them if you went underwater, but there wasn't that many underwater sections.
Nope. I mean, there is the bio the what's it? The sea note biome, which
Yeah,
is a complete underwater swim to get there.
yeah,
But I mean, you could easily go there with the tier 3 or tier 4 oxygen tank and one or two capsules in your inventory, and you were fine.
yeah, yeah. And essentially, what with the level, the fact that you just at the starting stage on your previous note, what it felt like was the game was trying to coerce you or force you into like, okay, you take 5 steps and then you need to build yourself a biome,
Yeah.
and then you take another five steps and another biome. It's like so you run. It's like, uh, being young kids and you're playing tag, and you have like, okay, no, this is a safe zone. No,
Yep.
I'm safe. Like cheap safe zones. Like yeah, like in its defense, I sort of can get like what you said, what the developers might be going for, but it felt a bit forced.
Mm.
Like no, you can't make it out here. You need your big oxygen stuff. Oh, okay, I get. I need big
And
oxygen
they're
stuff.
like, congratulations, now you have it, and now you also have a breathable atmosphere, so you don't
Yeah,
need it.
yeah. And
Uh,
there was no point removing it either because if you removed it, you lost inventory slots. I don't know if you've considered that, but if you were to remove the oxygen tank and the filter thing, because they added slightly like into your inventory slot and because you had the two, you had your backpack slot and then you had the other slot where you could carry the
yeah,
chips.
your gear.
Yeah. If you removed your oxygen tank or something, you would lose certain inventory slots.
Nope. That is all connected to the exoskeleton, the gear slots. That is all in
Ah,
the
fair point.
exoskeleton.
Fair point.
But I mean, to me, I didn't really need the T4 exoskeleton because I mean, as you progress in the game and you get the air filter, you get the water filter and everything, then all of a sudden that T4 exoskeleton that you worked so hard for, you don't need it because you don't ever carry around a full gear inventory.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even make those. I made those chips where you could pin a blueprint,
Yeah.
and also that chip where you told, like, your crafting menu, that it just ignored the
Oh yeah.
lower value level things.
I tried
It
that, but I removed it because it was annoying because
Yeah,
it
it removed the smaller blue chests, for example,
yeah.
and the small, like, those little, like, okay, well, if you built like our little wayward habitats that we built, for
Mm.
example, where you didn't expect to build a base, where you're just, no, I'm gonna just put this here because we're on our way into a cave. I'll build this here at the entrance and just put a random box here so I could just unload, like we were saying on, like, on the cave, the various cave nodes. Okay,
Yeah.
shit, I went halfway through the cave, my backpack is full. Shit, I better head back to that little habitat outside, unload what I have so I can keep questing.
Yeah.
And if you had that chip, you're like, no, no, you have to put in the level 4 cupboard, and no, you need more materials that you can carry for that cupboard
Mm.
instead of just what was it, 1 iron or 3 iron, whatever it is for those cupboards.
Yeah, the lockers is 3 iron and the blue box is
Like one, two,
one iron.
yeah,
And I
1 iron
feel
wasn't it 1 iron something else?
now it's 1 iron for the blue
Oh,
box.
oh,
And I feel with speaking of the progression in the buildables, I feel that the jump from the blue storage crate, 1 iron, to the storage locker,
3 irons.
3 irons, that feels natural.
Hmm.
And then you have to go out questing for those blueprint chips, or you actually have to buy it from the trade rocket, the tier 2 locker storage. The
Yeah, those are
one,
those big white ones where they're
yeah,
moving up and
yeah.
down, kind of Hubbard ring on it. Yeah.
And I mean, to go from 1 iron to 3 iron, to go all of a sudden to two super alloys and one circuit board, it doesn't feel natural.
No. It would be more natural. Okay, well, if you had 3 irons for the cupboard,
Yeah.
for the third one, okay, there would be either like 4 or 5 irons and maybe a titanium
Yeah, or like
or a silicone or
yeah.
something.
So I mean, I feel that the progression system through the tiers for everything, like most of the things felt natural, like the beehives. Oh, you need a bee larva and some fertilizer and some plastic
Hmm.
nugget. And for the bigger one, you need basically the same things, just slightly higher
More?
grade
Yeah.
or more. Same for the tree spreaders. They're basically the same, but with one or two things switched out. But then when it comes to those specialty items like the T2 storage locker, to completely switch from iron completely into like super high grade materials, that felt a bit off.
Yeah.
And also, what I had an objection with was all those blueprint chips. I
Yeah.
mean, we
There was
found,
abundance, way
yeah,
more than you needed. I would
uh,
have accepted if it was like, if it was like, for example, it was supposed to be, what was it, 10 or 20 golden chests?
23, I think.
Yeah. If you had a surplus of those blueprint microchips, if you had a surplus between 5 and 10, that would be something. But we found like, what, 20, 30
Yeah, I
blueprint.
mean,
It
we
was at the end we didn't even bother picking them up because
no,
you couldn't deconstruct them. You could shred them, just
yep,
destroy them, but you couldn't put them in the deconstructor to get like material out of it. So
no,
we just, at the end, we ignored picking them up. They were like, well, this is just crap.
yeah, and I mean, we currently sit on, I think it's 15 or 16 surplus blueprint chips that we cannot use,
Yeah.
and that's not counting all of those XX amount of blueprint chips that we
That we
decided,
left.
yeah, that not to pick up because we couldn't decode them anyway.
Yeah. I
But
mean, fair dues. Okay, the developers were generous, so the fact that you don't have to quest all over like you would to be able to be forced to do with the golden chest, for example. But also, it feels like the developers, on the negative, they were a bit too generous
yeah,
on
because
those microchips.
I mean, the golden chests are locked in position, and the rest of the distant wrecks and all the crashed ships, and that loot feels more randomly generated based on your current level.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I mean, to find that many blueprint chips, I was always under the assumption like, holy crap, we're gonna unlock so much thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the buildable menu is going to be huge. We're gonna have to sit and scroll through it for days,
Yeah.
and then I
But
mean,
it did feel a bit like those things that were unlockables compared to what you reached, the levels you reached in terraforming. It felt like a few of those were probably in the build of the game. They were probably attached to those blueprint microchips, but then the developers like, nah, actually, let's put them on, like, oh, you need to have the pressure level on this level, and you
mm,
need the oxygen on this level, and you need this on that level. One could make that argument anyways, or theorize that's where all those excess blueprint chips came from.
yeah, because I do know that the random loot boxes you find out in the world, depending on when you open them. If you open them early, they're filled with low grade
Yeah, you
materials.
just
And
yeah,
if you then find them, so I mean, I think that is a good mechanic that the outworld loot actually follows your progression so that you're
yeah,
not basically fully terraformed, and you're on the quest for super alloys, and all you can
yeah.
find is shitty iron because you will always
Yeah, we
already
had an access to iron, and
yeah,
you
I
find
mean,
iron out in the wild anyways.
yeah, and I mean that progress I felt with the blueprints and the buildables. I never really felt like things were too far off. I felt that the progression with the buildables, all the recipes and crafting elements and all that, I felt that ran a steady and comfortable pace.
Yeah.
There were some things, for example, the last jetpack, which was the last thing in the animals section to unlock. Now I'm being bombarded by meteors. But yeah, I felt that some things were, why is it locked behind there? Because when you reach that stage, you're not going to use it anyway.
No.
And also, for good or bad, the progress screens that you can put up in your base that measures your whole. Damn it! There's a lot of meteors. The progress screens that you can put up in your base. I mean, it's a good thing. It's like a real-time measurement of this is how well you're doing. This is what you need to improve and everything. But my God, did I spend a whole lot of time just standing, looking at it, waiting. It's about to reach that level.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's a bit like when you were a kid and it was like the day before Christmas or the day before a birthday, like, oh, Christmas is essentially like, oh, okay, time's clicking down. Oh, soon I can open the presents.
mm,
Oh.
oh, and just when I was about to go out and look at the meteors, they stopped.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I get the point with the progress screens that they want to keep you updated,
Mhm.
but I felt that it became more of a distraction for me. I
Yeah.
mean, it's good to always be updated, like, oh, this is how far you have to go and everything, but it also was a distraction because you stood around waiting. Oh, I just need to reach that level, and then the next thing, the craftables will pop, instead of actually being out affecting the thing to make that heat gauge or the pressure gauge move faster. You just stood around waiting for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fair enough. One could argue the developer, like, if one wants to argue for a sort of a positive view, yeah, one could argue that, well, that's the developers giving you a moment to be like, oh, I'm so close to reaching that thing. Well, that's a perfect segue. Like, oh, I might as well go take that bathroom break right now or
Mm.
fill up my coffee cup. But I fully understand, relate, and agree to what your point is. Yes.
So now we have covered the map, the progression, the survival feel elements to it, and everything. Um, how about graphical style?
It was nice. Like being old school, it had a sort of retro feel to it. That was nice. Like it wasn't overly complicated, overly shiny, overly like graphically wise. It was not distracting. You know what I
It,
mean? Like it wasn't breathtaking, but it was by no means underwhelming either.
yeah, I mean, they didn't quite focus on realism, but
No,
it didn't shoot over too far to the cartoony side either.
no, like those sand waterfalls, they looked nice. They looked like they looked cool. Like
Yeah,
the desert way, like yeah, it was a desert. Like it wasn't like sand colored muck.
yeah. I mean, they could have put a little more work into when the planet starts to become green and the grass areas,
Yeah.
because that felt more like green colored desert floor.
Like
Uh,
someone would have been walking around with a big canister of spray, green
yeah,
spray.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I liked it that you had that distinct change from green to sand or whatnot,
Hmm.
but the graphical, I mean, I like the graphics. It feels real enough, but still playful.
Yeah. I mean, and in my case, I can only be grateful for the fact that the required system, like the requirements essentially were low enough for me to be able to run it like except for like those obviously the frame drops like the stutter
Mm,
if one doesn't take that in consideration other than that the game was like it ran smoothly in those sense like I had no complaints in that sense. I'm grateful for that. Like it was easy enough to just. It was essentially like picking up like an old copy of what Diablo one or like Age of Empires one or two. It just no, it runs. It,
yep.
it runs. There's no like no, it runs. It's fine. It's no what. There's no way for an issue essentially.
Yeah. And what I feel about the design way of, let's say, the pressure drills or whatnot, they felt whimsical, but still
But
not,
believable.
yeah, not unbelievable.
No.
I mean, sure, they could have put more work into the effect it had on the ground.
Immediate, yeah, immediate. Yeah, but that being said, if one were to make the comparison of, for example, like a game like Astroneer or
Mm,
7 Days, where a game where you actually interact with, like if you mine on the ground, you'll make a hole. You
mm,
couldn't really do that in this game. Uh, if you could, then I suppose the graphical, like the way the game looks, if you could change terraform it physically yourself, then the way the game looked, it would have no excuse. But the fact that it was locked into like, no, this is the playground you have. You cannot change the topography or whatever as you please. That's how the game gets a pass for well, the way it looked
yeah.
in my view, anyways.
Did you ever feel going up through the tiers for like the pressure drills? Did you ever feel the need that, oh no, I have to deconstruct my old ones and change them?
No, I mean I never even like I think I built maybe one pressure
Yeah,
thingy. I never built any of the. I mean, the only thing I built was ore extractor, the tier one and the tier two ore extractor,
yeah, yeah,
the butterfly biodomes, and then a shit ton of those little habitat booths
yeah.
with
With
the level one
storage and
constructor and
yeah.
storage. That was essentially all I built.
The
So I mean, I didn't even pay attention to any of the like the pressures, drills, nothing of that. I did nothing of that.
the
I never even placed one single tree spreader or grass spreader, not a
no.
single one.
The things that I felt was I never felt the need to. I mean, in case of power management, after you unlock the whole nuclear reactors,
Yeah,
power became a non-issue. Then it was
yeah.
like, no, I don't have to take away something that draws power in order to be able to build something new. You just,
Oh, no, the only reason you had to remove something was space, like those wind turbines we had on the roof.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the only like, "Oh, no, there's no point cluttering the roof with all these wind turbines. Let's
hmm,
remove them." We didn't have to remove them because of, oh, actually we need to change the power outlet thingy. Like that didn't matter.
no,
Same with the solar panels. I mean, I built a couple of those solar, like the wind turbines and smaller solars at those wayward bases I had, like the desert base kind of thing.
hmm,
But I was just to sort of supplement the things that I put in those habitats,
yeah,
like the crafter, the level one crafter, and some I put some food growers.
yep,
So it was only to supplement those. That was it. Other than that, like you said, once you had the nuclear power thing, is like they really weren't necessary.
no, it became a non-issue.
Yeah.
So, speaking of building, I'm just going to close this portal because there's no need having it going.
Why not? Maybe if you close the portal, that means you've watched Stargate.
I
If the
did.
portal is closed, that means someone could dial and come in. But if you've opened the portal and keep
Yeah,
it
but
open, that
I
means the line is busy.
yeah, but in speaking in Stargate, you can't keep a wormhole open forever. So,
No.
speaking of building though, what
Hmm.
did you feel about? I mean, you didn't do that much base building.
No.
You
I mean, I
plant.
helped out a minimum bit at the main base. Other than that, I just built like habitats,
Mm,
wayward habitats. But yeah. Well, my pet peeve, as I stated in our previous stream, Uh, sure enough, it was easy enough. Like it was easy enough building wise. Like it was fairly smooth in that sense. What I got myself annoyed with was for the fact that the object that you're trying to build was so close up in my face that I struggled getting my depth perception.
mm,
So lining things up. Wow, thankfully you could have that little link icon if you're trying to link habitats
yep.
together. That helped. Yeah, by all means. But if you were trying, like the way I struggled when I tried to build the butterfly dome, for example, which was also one of the main reasons, like I said, screw this, I'm building it on top of the rocket pad.
Yep.
Uh, Getting a depth perception and seeing how you could fit things to link them together, I struggled with that. It would have, like we said, if you had that your teammate could see that green outline of
Mm,
what you're trying to build, that would have helped. Then I could have had someone like you could have been at a more overview, like no, actually move a little bit further, a little bit further. There you go, that fits.
mm,
But or even as you said, what they have in the forest, as you if you build something, you put the blueprint down on the ground, and
yeah.
then you have to add the material to it. That would have been a great way as well.
Mm. My
Instead of okay, you accidentally built something and then shit, that wasn't good. Okay, I have to deconstruct it,
yeah.
and then
The good part was you got all the materials back.
yeah, yeah,
So
that was good,
if
man. Yeah,
if you wanted to move something, it was easy. You just, oops, it didn't fit there. All right, I'll take it down and move it.
yeah,
And my biggest pet peeve with the building though was it didn't feel real. If you catch my point. I mean, you
yeah,
could. I mean, take the butterfly dome for example. You could place that easily floating in the air, and there was no penalties to it.
yeah, yeah. You didn't have to build like a girder base
No,
platform. Yeah, yeah, I was a bit struck by that. Yeah, that
because
was also like 'cause that was also one of the reasons I built the butterfly dome as it was, as more of a like really
yeah.
okay, this works. It doesn't crash. It doesn't fall on itself. Okay,
I mean,
a
to
few
to
days.
to me, I wonder what is the point of the platform girder system
Yeah,
if you don't have to use it? Then it's
yeah,
just a wasteful thing.
yeah.
I
The
mean,
only thing we used it for was at that canyon area to whatever was
yeah,
south.
to build floating bridges.
Yeah, fake bridges. But those girder things, like you say, that you couldn't even rotate them.
Nope, they were fixed.
Yeah, they were in a fixed position, so you had to. I found myself doing that on several occasions, actually, now that you mention it. I had to like open the building menu. I stood at one angle essentially, open the build menu, got that green outline. It's like, well, no, that's terrible. And then I had to back out of the building menu, relocate myself, open the build menu again. And they're like, well, no, I need to relocate a little bit. Close the build menu, take two more steps,
Yeah.
open the build menu. Oh, there, okay, now it fits. So that was also a bit of a hassle, like unnecessary adage, one would say.
Yeah, and I mean, I like my survival games. I mean, sure, this is a space thingamabob game, so I mean, sure, you can survive in space, but you won't do it this way. Uh,
Hmm.
I want a sense of realism in the fact that, I mean, you can't place a whole base floating in the air just because you want to, because that that rubs my OCD the wrong way.
Yeah,
And the issue that I had with, I mean, the terrain, you can't really find a huge and completely flat area. And if you just plop down, it's going to be slightly elevated in one corner or another, and it's going to look bad
hmm,
aesthetically. And if you then continue to build on it, as we all know, we who tinker at home with like carpentry and stuff, if you measure 1 inch wrong at one end, if you continue that line, is
yeah, yeah,
going to
yeah,
be
yeah.
several feet over at the other
Oh
side.
yeah, oh yeah,
And the issue that I had with the buildings was, sure, you could, in a way, change the height of something, but I felt that the building was too much point and click. It wasn't really a build mode because it didn't take any effect on the terrain. It didn't take any effect. Like you didn't have any. It's like, all right, yeah, I want to build a girder platform. I want it to be elevation 2, rotated 45 degrees, and then slightly pushed forward. Like many
hmm,
games have, they have a designated, if you will, build mode.
yeah, yeah.
And
Like a more inherent grid system, so to
yeah,
speak.
and this was more like, oh well, you just pick whatever
Very
you want.
floaty, very floaty,
Yeah,
free floaty. Yeah, yeah,
and I struggled with it. I mean, I liked that the fact that it had a link, click and link system to it, but then
hmm,
again, it's not really a building survival game. It's more like a gather
yeah.
like
Hunter
that.
gatherer, yeah, hunter
Yeah,
gatherer, and like, okay, yeah, I suppose you, since you're in space, I suppose, okay, you need to build something.
yeah. And I mean, the design of the buildable modules and all that, I mean, I felt it was a little bit lackluster. It lacked the design ideas. Sure, you could change out the roofs to glass roofs, you could put in windows and
Yeah,
stuff
but
like that.
the beds and the chairs were absolutely pointless.
Yeah. Why would you need a bed because you never have to sleep? Why
Yeah,
would you need a
you can't
couch?
interact. Yeah, you can't interact with any of the chairs or sittables. You could not interact with any of the beds.
No. And that
Interact
would
in any freaking way.
no. Why then would you need any type of furniture?
Yeah, like unless you're trying to cosplay as something.
I guess.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah, like it was like, okay, well, I've just used up this space here,
Yeah.
which is exactly why I built those the
The
trophy plaques, the
yeah.
trophy plaque thingies that we put. Like we're just like, okay, well, let's use up this empty space here.
Mm.
Although it was sort of like they were at least usable for the fact because they were essentially like the trophy case.
Yep.
The only thing that the trophy plaques were good for was the fact, okay, you could actually see what the legless frog looked like,
Yep.
or the fishes. You could see what those look like.
But they don't give you anything, and
Yeah, they do sod all.
yeah, and you never spend that much time in your base to appreciate them.
Hmm.
Because when you're in your base, then you're mostly focused on storing materials that you have, or
Yeah,
bring getting materials to build something, and then you restock, and then you go back out again.
yeah. It's just like you go back and resupply and then you go again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not like it was like in Conan, for example. If you build a base in Conan, yeah, you could sit by all the chairs, sit by all the tables, sleep in the bed. Like if you were to pimp your castle, as it were, you could interact with the things in the castle.
mm,
Which incidentally is like what my profile picture is. It was supposed to be used as a painting that I was supposed to have in my Conan castle when I played it back in the days with like old friends. Like when I played with Dan and whatever, when we even had our go at Conan briefly. That was supposed to be my profile picture was supposed to be a big painting I had that was supposed to be placed right above my throne chair when you entered my castle. That was
mm.
why it was created essentially. That made sort of sense. But now in this game, you could not place anything. It was those basic trophies. You could either find the rocket trophy, the kettle trophy, or the Stargate trophy. Those
You
were the only
have
trophies you could find.
the portal trophy,
Yeah, that's
the
yeah,
crash pod, the
yeah.
rockets, the drones, the jetpack, and the warden keys. That's the ones we have found.
Oh, yeah. Well,
But
I only saw what like well oh yeah well I suppose it's the pod key. It looked like a tea kettle to me.
mm,
And then the rocket that looked like a woman's massage toy,
mm.
and then the portal. Those are the only trophies I like that I know and remember I've seen of like the golden trophies that
And
you put up in the case.
also, I don't really get the need for the spacesuit displayer.
No, no, no. I mean, the only way is like what Onikage said. He didn't see what his like he picked up his spacesuit
Yeah.
and he was inside a ship and it was dark, so he couldn't see. Like when you equip a suit, you obviously make that emotion kind of like yay, woo, woo, whatever.
Yep.
But he couldn't see it in the ship, so unless and you could not for any way change the camera view so you could see your way in the third person. So if you want to see what a suit looks like, that's the only justifiable excuse I could see for that mannequin essentially. Like, okay, well, what does this suit look like?
Yeah.
Because that's what I used it for. That's what I personally used the mannequin for back in your base. Like, okay, wait, what does this suit look like? Oh, okay, I look like that. Because I
Uh,
kept swapping them around. That's why I had like the blue box I built that I
mm.
named the suitcase.
So, what did you feel about the aspects of the game that we really didn't explore, like the automation?
Uh, I see the positive thing about that automation, like the automatic craft builder and the drones. They were like the thing I see those in a positive light is they would neglect my pet peeve. You know, like okay, I have to run out and gather these materials again. Like oh shit, I'm running out of food. I need to gather. Thankfully, in this game at least, if you planted a food, like we also had an excess of those seed bags
Yep.
essentially. Yeah. Uh, if the game's mechanic was that okay, you need to plant a new seed bag, then that would have sucked. Uh, but like since it kept the same seed bag, you could then send the drones to collect it and put it away for you, and then you had the auto crafter crafting the food, and you could set it to craft the oxygen tank, so you could the resupply would be more automated, so to speak. That was a positive. I mean, I didn't really explore it that much myself, but I can see the potential positivity like use for it if you don't play with the crew, or
Yep.
if you wanna like decimate sort of like the time spent
I mean,
instead
sure.
of wasting time finding things like
Yeah.
okay well this I have it now.
I mean, it's a helpful thing, but
Yeah,
it would be more helpful to if you play alone than
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah,
play with someone.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because I mean, if you play with someone, then you just say, "Hey, we need to go get that,"
yeah, like I
and
said, but if you meet the Onikage you delegate.
yeah, and I mean, for that reason, I never really got into the drones because I feel that the drones, although being helpful as a way to quickly, if you have like the tier 3 ore extractor placed down in the correct space in which you could mine for a specific ore, then
Yeah,
you
but
could
the one that
send.
we like Onikage set up in the osmium. No, was it? No, it was the alloy cave
Mm,
where I had placed the T1 and the T2 extractor
yeah,
that he later changed to the T3. Yeah, if you have the drone making runs from that place back to main base.
yeah, then you can focus yourself on doing other things.
Yeah.
But and if you then connect them to the autocrafter, making sure that the drones refill storage around the autocrafter, then you can set it to craft certain items.
Hmm.
But I never really felt the need for the autocrafter. The autocrafter to me became more of a way to, oh, I don't remember which crafting bench crafts this item.
Yeah.
So I just head to the autocrafter, look it up, and if I had, I just plopped all the resources in and chose that recipe.
Yeah.
But
Because I mean, I believe what we used it for was to make the what was it, pulsar quarters or something?
yeah, the pulsar quartz, and I also made animal feed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But really, I feel that they put in the autocrafter and the drone system as a way to make it similar to Satisfactory, which is
Hmm.
basically an automation game.
Hmm.
But I mean, we played this game start to finish in 50 something hours,
Yeah.
and we never reached a point where we needed to use the drones or have a lot of autocrafters make a lot of materials that we couldn't do in any other way.
No, no. I mean,
So we,
if we were, I mean, there was a few occasions where we were low on either the super alloys or some quartzes, but it didn't take that much of an effort for us to go out and get some.
no, and
We
I
were
mean,
never we were never at a drought, so to speak.
no, I mean, I do get it that it's a way for people to build a huge base and have stuff automated, but
Hmm.
I feel that at the point when you unlock those things, you are basically what 70%, 75% done to complete terraformation. So why would you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, sure, you could argue that after you escape the planet at the ending, you can it always auto saves just before, so you can always load back in and
Yeah,
continue to
if you
play.
just wanna live, if you don't wanna go with any of those, what we summarize as the bad choices, you could either
Mm.
go back to being a prisoner, or you could go with the smugglers
Smugglers
and
and become a
be an
convict.
outlaw, or you could go for your doom with the wardens.
Yeah,
So if you don't want any of those three bad choices, you feel like, no, I'm just gonna live on this planet. This is gonna be my planet now.
yeah.
You all can f off.
And I mean, sure, you could then continue to build. You could basically build an entire huge base.
Yeah, an entire habitat planet
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah.
and sure, I get it. And I mean, it's nice that the developers incorporated the fact that you have the possibility to build a stylish base. As I've seen many other people do in YouTube videos, they build according to a certain like a certain blueprint, if you will. They have fountains and stuff, and they trick it out with furniture and whatnot.
Hmm.
But that is so late game that the game is then over.
Hmm.
I mean, sure, it's a way to keep the game alive, but I mean, after you have played through the story and everything, then you must be a really niche player to continue to
Yeah,
play.
you must really like you must really love Planet Crafter if you don't want to leave it. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
bit like your pet peeve. You don't want to play like you've outgrown essentially. One can use those words. Outgrown those games where you level up, like World of Warcraft kind of thing. Like, okay,
Mm,
I'm gonna make my character now as a level 70 character here, and okay, well, there's no quests left to do.
yeah.
There's no progression left to do. There's no oh, I can go back and do that raid that I've done 15 times already. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I already know what to do with this raid.
I
You know,
can go
that,
into that raid and have a 0.15% loot drop chance to get that super special epic thing that is
that
0.2% better than the one I already have.
yeah, that it's only for brag value essentially.
Yeah,
Like,
and I
because
mean,
that's all that's left in Planet Crafter right now. If you and I were to go back in right now in your save on Planet Crafter, all we have left is like big dick bragging. Like, look at the massive base we have built.
yeah, because there's nothing more to unlock. I mean, sure, you could keep bombing up rockets until, I mean, the
Yeah,
atmosphere
it
is
just looks
completely
like, yeah, it
cluttered.
looks, yeah, yeah. Like, essentially, if you look at that little screen thingy,
Yeah,
all you see is like what looks like giant wasps.
yeah. I mean, sure. From the point where we are, where we have finished the story and escaped the planet, if you load back in, that is mainly just attempting to break the game.
Hmm.
Because you want to build as much so you can see how much can I build, how much stuff can I put around until my frame drops and the game crashes. How many
Hmm.
rockets can I push up? I mean, making how much material, raw resources is there on the planet for me to make and keep sending rockets until the whole atmosphere is like jam packed.
Yeah,
And will it break the game? We can build a
yeah,
base that is so huge that it stretches, and we can like there's still blueprints we can buy from the trade rocket with the Terra tokens and whatnot,
hmm,
and just buy everything. But other than that, there is no real playing value, at least not for me. There's
no,
not much value left because I have done the story. I
yeah,
have built the base, I've sent up the rockets, I've seen what the game has to offer.
yeah. You've seen the three endings.
Yeah, and
I share your sentiment there because it's like I told you as well. Like, I don't see myself launching Planet Crafter again just to sit on my own and
no,
play through it. I like, in all honesty, not to shit on the game by any means, but I don't see myself be like, okay, sitting scrolling around my Steam library like, yeah, I think I'm gonna jump on Planet Crafter. Like, no, like you said, I've seen what it is,
yeah.
and it wasn't really my forte to begin with. So
I mean, sure, if the developers decide to drop a patch or something, adding in new DLC or
yeah,
something,
hmm,
sure, I would consider
yeah,
revisiting the game.
yeah. If they added something new, like a real like, oh, this is revolutionary thingy, what we done. Check this stuff
Like,
out.
all right, you now have you can build a whole new not an escape pod platform like an extraction rocket, but you can build a rocket so you can fly off to the nearest moon,
Yeah.
because on this moon there's 15 new raw ores or whatever.
Yeah,
And
special, or you actually you meet with the smuggler somewhere,
yeah,
and there's actually a use for those excess blueprint chips, for
yeah,
example.
I mean,
Then yeah, by all means, yeah, yeah, sure,
if the
sure,
developers start adding on to the game, sure, I will revisit the game.
yeah,
Other than that, I feel that it was a good month. I
hmm,
got out from the game what I put in, because I mean, if you put 50 or so hours into it, you expect to be entertained for 50 hours.
yeah, yeah,
And I was entertained for 50 hours.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we put several hours into it, quite a long stretches. Thankfully enough, we reduced. We started off quite large in the beginning with very long, overly long
Mm,
screens, but we reduced those thankfully. Uh, but yeah, by all means. I mean, I wasn't. I don't regret any. I wasn't bored or felt obligated or forced or anything any time when I was playing with you guys, uh, by any means of the ways. So
no.
I no, there
And,
that's one feather in the cap for Planet Crafter for me
uh,
at the very least.
and it's also one of the rare few times that I played a game that, when you were a young child and you sat down in front of Super Mario or whatever, and
The glory days.
like, all right, it's 8 a.m., I've just eaten breakfast, I'm just gonna play for a little bit, and then you lose yourself.
Yeah, the
And
good old days.
yeah, and then you look at and then all of a sudden your parent come and you say, "Hey, it's bedtime." What? No, I just sat down. No, you've been sitting
Yeah,
there for 12
yeah.
hours.
Essentially, the key word you're trying to go for is back in the good old days when games had soul,
Yeah, I mean,
not just not just literally what games are today is like best graphics. Okay, it's lipstick on a pig. It's a polished turd. It just needs to look good. I don't care if it functions. It just looks good.
so I
When games
feel,
had soul.
yeah, I mean, I feel that I got the value from the game in that way, which makes this game a really great game.
Yeah, yeah. By
And
all means. I mean, if on a rate, what if you were to rate it on a 0 to 10 scale, I would give it like at least a 7,
yeah, I was
at
thinking
least.
seven or eight.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
I
it was not perfect, but it wasn't bad by any means of the
no.
ways.
The only thing that I never really paid that much attention to, which may have been my loss or not, is the story. The story is, I mean, you're all of a sudden you're in a drop pod and you are bombarded down into a planet and you have no idea.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
you
I didn't even know until we at the end when we were escaping.
yeah,
I wasn't even aware of the fact that we were convicts.
yeah, and to have the story given to you piece by piece in the form of just messages on a screen,
Yeah,
I felt that was a bit lacking. So the
yeah,
story
yeah.
wise, I didn't really I mean, the story was meh to me.
Yeah, it
Uh,
didn't. I wasn't cap. It didn't capture me in
no,
that sense. No, no,
I mean,
no.
sure,
Which is why it doesn't. That's why it doesn't get a higher score per
no,
se.
I mean, sure. The story I think tells a riveting story of other people having been to the planet before, trying to survive or whatnot, and this and that, and then you have the wardens and other survivors, other convicts, and that Sentinel Corps and whatnot.
Hmm.
So, I mean, sure, there is a deep story to it, and it's a screwed up story, I must
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
But the story didn't have, it didn't, it wasn't the story that grabbed me. It wasn't the story that kept me playing. It
No.
was more so the fact that it's a fun game, you can sink hours into it, and you can play it with
Yeah,
friends.
yeah. I mean, playing with you that was like the only thing that kept me there.
Yeah,
Like, not to again shit on the game by any means, but like you said, it was fun to find a game where you lost yourself for several hours. Again, you know, I mean, like the good old days where you could sit down and like, oh, holy shit, it's daytime again.
yeah.
Crap. And you know the nostalgia of having a game with you again. That was like, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether to credit that to Planet Crafter or not. I mean, yeah, to some extent, yeah, by all means, credit goes to Planet Crafter. The fact that it was interesting enough to keep us going, but it wasn't essential to keeping like it wasn't what the glue that kept us
No.
going, but it was by all means a piece of material that kept us going, if one would tend to use those words, I suppose.
I mean, I think they're called Mijü Games, the
I would say
developers.
me, you, like what you said, meowie, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would call it that. When I didn't see the logo, the game logo until we ended the game. So I didn't like, but that last letter, the U with the two dots on top of it,
Mm.
to my knowledge, that is like a German Y. I'm not saying it is a German Y, but I call it a German Y because that's the same letter that they use for müsli
Yeah.
or muesli, as whatever English would call it. But you know, the granola bars that you put in a bowl of as cereals.
Yep. I mean,
So
what
meowie, muyi, I don't know, muyi, we, meowie,
Meowie.
anyway.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean,
yeah,
whatever their names are, I mean, they did a good job.
yeah. I
There's
never heard of them before, and
no.
I'm interested to see. I'm obviously gonna keep an eye out. If I ever see a game in the future that holds that company, like that, or developers, whatever, I'm be like, whoa, actually, okay, let's take a look at what they've got going.
Mm.
So I'm grateful for that by all means.
So, oh man, another meteor shower. It's getting ridiculous with the meteor showers.
Ask and ye shall receive. The gods shall provide.
Indeed. Uh, oh. So, I'm just gonna, let's see, save, resume, exit to main menu to get the sound to stop because I was in the middle of a meteor shower. So then overall, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's, would you say
Seven
that
out
it,
of ten. Play with friends.
yeah, would you say that it's, uh, buy now, don't buy, or wait until sale?
Well, I don't think it was very pricey now. I mean, you bought me my copy because
Mm,
since I don't really pay attention to survival games that ways, anyways. You were the one who provided me with this copy. All I know is it is not large. The size of it is not large. It doesn't really like. There's no point for me. I don't have to uninstall it to create space, essentially.
yep.
So that's a very big bonus. And price wise, I can't imagine it being like a $50 type of game. That doesn't really make sense to me. Um, I don't know what did the thing cost?
It costs about 24 euros or something.
Yeah, like so what? Say
It's about
20,
20,
$25.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not very pricey as it is. But if you have friends to play with, then it's a very acceptable price to spend.
Hmm.
Um, and well, I imagine if it goes on sale, you what save $10 maybe. If you see it on sales, then there's really not much of an excuse not to give it a go.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think it will drop down to like 15 or 17 bucks
yeah,
on like a 20% sale.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, you won't lose. Like it would literally not be like modern day AAA studio type of gaming where you put 60, $70 on a game and it's
That's
not even a
a
complete game.
90 gigabytes big and it's still not complete.
Yeah, you have to wait for it to patch and whatever the hell, and it's like, okay, well, in order to enjoy this game, I had to buy the season pass and all the add-ons and
And
the
then I have to wait
microtransactions.
for 2.5 years for it to drop out of early access, and then they have
Yeah.
to do hotfix on hotfix on hotfix,
Hmm.
and then eventually 5 years, 7 years after its first release, then it's
Yeah,
playable.
then the developers, or sorry, the publishers will have abandoned the game
Yeah.
post that time.
So I
So
mean, I would say, I mean, the game supports up to 10 players co-op.
yeah,
It has a relatively big map to
yeah,
explore.
yeah,
Resources are, I mean, they can get difficult to find, but they are in abundance.
yeah. It's not
Uh,
impossible. You don't have to like sit around and wait too long.
no. And the progression system moves in a steady and comfortable pace.
Yeah,
And I would say whether you play it alone or preferably with a couple of friends,
yeah.
then
That
I
being said, it would be cool if that game. I mean, as it is now, it is like what the player server like your save is your game.
yeah,
I can't sign into your game. You need to be on it.
yep,
Uh, Arguably, I see the dangers of it by all means, but my experience when I played Conan, for example, Dan, our old friend, rest his soul, he purchased a private server on Conan.
mm,
Uh, I see the potential of okay, well, if they just ditch the game, then they or close the servers, and that's gone. Forget about it. I do agree that's a shitty thing. It would be sort of a cool additive if they had that, like a bit like what Battlefield has, I believe it is. I think Battlefield does it. You can get your own server, or you could use their
yeah.
server kind of thing. Uh,
Arma does it, DayZ does it.
yeah, if they had that as an option that you could set up your own private server,
Mm,
so if you could like, okay, for example, I can't play your game, I have to wait for you to be there. But if you had that you bought a server that I had the password to, or if you were a group of 10, for example, and all 10 of us had the password, and we could just jump in
And
and a
wreck
little bit now.
havoc.
They're like, yeah, but okay, well, if we're gonna play, for example, you're away at work.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're gonna play Planet Crafter tonight, anyways. Okay, well, it's about 4 hours left. Well, I'm just gonna jump on for now and just sort some shit up while I'm waiting for you to arrive. That
Yep.
you can't do that as it is yet. As it is of now, when I have it's your server. By all means, that's more safe and secure for the game's lifespan. Absolutely, the lifespan for the game, like we could always play this. They can't close down the servers, so the game is dead as a live service game thingy. That's a big bonus. But it would be a neat add-on if they had that you could set your private server if you want to have a life on it, so to speak.
Mm. I think that if they are to make that step to provide the possibility to buy your private servers, or they provide you with a server that you can then claim or whatever, um, then the developers would have to add more planets.
Yeah.
They would also, I felt the transportation methods with the jetpack was limited.
Hmm.
I would
The
have liked,
jetpack was very finicky, very very
yeah,
finicky.
very finicky. I would have liked it if you could, like in Astroneer, you could build a car or a
Yeah.
tractor or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
But I mean, I guess that's up to the developers to keep adding to the game. I mean, I would have liked it if you could physically terraform the planet, like change the topography and whatnot with
That'd be cool. Yeah.
some
Like, okay, well,
special
there's a
tool.
mountain here that I can't get up to. Screw it. I'll just drill my way up.
Yeah,
Make my own tunnel.
yeah. Or like, oh, we are going to host a space car rally. We'll just make our own track with jumps and loops and whatnot, and then we'll just
Hmm.
test it.
Yep.
I mean, that would have been fun. That is what I liked about Astroneer. It was super free, and you could, goof around.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
game doesn't allow for that much goofing,
No.
like Astroneer does, but you can still have a
Well,
pretty fun
Astroneer,
time.
yeah. Astroneer, however, felt cheaper graphic-wise.
Oh yeah, but that I also felt it was a bit of a charm with
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Astroneer.
Yeah. 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 And the nostalgia nerve was tickled by all means.
Yeah. So I would say an easy 7 or 8 out of 10. It could be potentially a 9.5 or 10 of 10 with friends.
Yeah. And if they
Um,
add more stuff to it.
Especially if they add more stuff, then it could be a secure strong 11. And I would say there's no real reason not to buy it.
No.
If you enjoy this type of game, then go ahead and buy it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
You can easily sink 50 plus hours into it.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's no real.
It doesn't take any space. I mean, you could
No.
save this on a thumb drive.
Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't take much to run it either. So,
No. No.
and then just try it. I mean,
Yeah.
I
By all
will.
means, like by all freaking means, us gamers today, we need to unite more and support like the double A game, like the double A games.
Yeah, or the
The
indie.
yeah, indie and double A games need more support just to show the triple A's that they're beyond ignorant and stupid, that they need a reality check and need to wake the fuck up and smell what they're defecating.
Yeah, because I mean, the copy paste job of all the NHLs, all the FIFAs, all the GTAs, and all that, it has to stop.
Yeah. And that like for a 60, $70 price tag as well. For
Yeah,
just like, well, it's the same thing, but it's a new sticker.
yeah,
It's the same piece of turd. I just lacquered it with a different lacquer this year.
yep. It's slightly bluish this year.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that was our prolonged rant.
Why can't we ever be efficient?
I don't know. It's not in our genes. I think.
I think it's in our it's a family thing. It's a
I
family
mean,
trait.
it.
Just look
We,
at the way we build it.
yeah, I mean, we've been going at it now for about an hour 40 minutes, and I'm sure that when Oni is going to do
He's
his.
gonna do it on a short essentially compared
Yeah,
to this.
I mean, he's going to post a review video, and that's going to be like 10 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but then again, I mean, there's two of us and there's one of him, so we
Yeah.
need.
He's professional, structured and organized.
Yep.
We're two ranting old farts.
Yep. Anyway,
Actually, it was better back in my day. Then you
yeah.
used to have
Do you
thing.
remember when?
Yeah, you think your gaming system's cool? I remember Atari.
Yeah, I remember when all you had was a line on a screen pushing a square in between you.
Yeah, the ping pong game
Yeah,
thingy.
it was ping pong, it was football, it was hockey, it was whatever you
Yeah,
imagined it.
yeah, and the controller itself was a big unit with two knobs on each end that you like just like a volume knob essentially that you just twirl like you screwed it left or right.
Yep,
You move that pink line up and down.
yep,
Easy, easy, so easy,
yep.
but yet so hard.
Oh yeah.
Easy to learn, hard to master. I believe the
Mm.
term is.
So it's unfortunate that you can't join in on July, the game for July, which is going to be Night of the Dead. I think that is a bit too heavy for your system to
Yeah, and
run.
I'm not sure if the game itself is like I need a cooldown like you like I need a cooldown process to like to melt and process and like really adjust and acclimate myself for the way that I've been exposed to a survival game as it is for this month alone.
Yeah, but coming forward,
Possibly future events. Who knows? What I don't know what you guys got going in the future.
nope,
Uh,
neither do we.
Either way, if you just need me as a guest spot, if someone making noises in the background, you know where to find me.
Yep, online in the ether, eventually, on
Yeah,
certain days during certain hours.
yeah.
But anyway, I will be going on vacation starting this Friday.
You think?
It's Wednesday, late Wednesday now.
Yeah, you
So,
think you are, but we all
yep,
know it's a lie.
I think I am, but I have a whole bunch of stuff planned because I'm going to do some carpentry and stuff in the real world. But I will also be dedicating some a whole bunch of time playing Night of the Dead, which I am up until this point. I'm going in basically blind. I have a sense what the game is all about. Oni has played it for a lot, so he knows what it is. I have a hunch what the game is, and it's going to be interesting. And I was the one requesting a big game for July that takes time because I will have a lot of time, I think, on my hands to actually be able to play. So I guess I hope you guys tune in for. I will be streaming as much as possible during July. Don't want to state a number like, oh, I'm going to be streaming 3 times a day for 10 days straight
Yeah,
or anything.
no promises made, no hearts broken, or whatever the
Yeah,
terminology is.
exactly. But I will also be enjoying doing a one-off video on Pacific Drive, which I actually also purchased yesterday because I figured, hey, what the heck? It's a good price and Oni has played it and it looks interesting, so I might as well try it.
Is that when you're in that car that looks like Walt Griswold,
Yep,
like a Päron till farsa?
yep. National Lampoon's
Yeah,
Vacation station
yeah,
wagon.
yeah, that one. Yeah, I've seen bits about it, not really deep dive, but I've heard
Mm.
various things about it.
Oni did a one-off review video on it a while back, and I figured, hey, might as well try it. Might actually do a little more than just a short review video on it. Might as well kind of perhaps play it once or twice. But I will also be playing Night of the Dead as the game of the month for July. And you and I will also be going to another county and go nerd out in a comic book store.
Yeah, That's in our part of the world. That's not a very common thing to have. We don't have comic book stores
No,
on every goddamn street corner or anything. No,
no.
this is you have to venture.
Yeah, it's a 2 hour car drive
Yep,
to get there, and they are open 6 or 7 hours in
only on Sundays.
total
Yeah,
for an
only on.
entire. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think what you
there's,
said, 3 days a week they're open.
yeah, 3 days a week, 2 hours one day, 2 hours. I think it's 2 hours on Wednesdays, 2 hours on Fridays, and like from 1
Four,
p.m.
yeah, 4 or 6
to,
on a Sunday.
yeah.
4 or 6
So
hours on, I believe
there,
you said.
it's a tight schedule to fit in, but we're going to make it,
Yeah.
and we will go out there and we will nerd out with some comic books.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, since we're not big streamfluencers, we will likely not be vlogging the
No,
event itself,
I
since we're
might,
also very camera shy.
yeah, I might mention it, but other than that, just know that we are big nerds, but we don't have the nerdy possibilities like many other American viewers have.
No,
So,
we don't enjoy great American capitalist freedom.
nope. But anyway, this has been a review of Planet Crafter, and
We beat Elon to it.
yep, Elon better take notes.
Yep.
I mean, if he ever should watch any of my videos, he's more than welcome to write a comment and ask me how did I do it, and I will
Yeah,
give him.
yeah, yeah. Free pointers.
Yep,
You don't even need an employment or a recommendation or nothing.
nope,
Well, happy
yep,
to.
happy to help.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a personal guided tour on SpaceX and Tesla and whatnot, but other than that, I'm pretty much available and able to do it
Yeah,
basically
and
for free.
I should probably. I mean, me being too cynical and not a people person, I'm pretty sure that the one thing that I would be interested in that not a flamethrower would not be a good option for him to gift me. So
I
okay,
think
no gifts for me.
they ran out. They only made a set amount and they ran out.
Yeah, but they know how to build more.
Yeah, as do
So
I.
yeah,
Well, anyway, I hope you had fun and you enjoyed this review and that you found it helpful. And feel free to comment, or I don't want to sit here and beg for subscriptions or whatnot, but if you feel so inclined, then a subscription to the channel would be much appreciated. Stay tuned for more content, and I hope you had fun. So stay tuned and stay safe. Say goodbye, brother.
goodbye, brother.